Hi, it's Natalie, the modern hippie mama. Welcome to Nourishment for Your Soul. Let's begin with hands on the knees, eyes closed, the back nice and tall. As always, we're starting in a seated position. This seat should be comfortable. So if sitting cross-legged is not comfortable for you, you can try to sit on a block, a rolled up blanket, a rolled up towel, or anything that's going to lift your sits bones a little bit higher to open up the hips. You could also kneel with your tush resting on your heels, but the goal is to stay in this seated comfortable position so that you're able to breathe without being distracted by the body. With that being said, let's begin with 3 deep breaths. Inhaling through the nose. Exhaling out of your mouth. Inhale. Exhaling out. Last time, breath in. Exhaling out of mouth. Continuing to breathe in through your nose and out of your mouth. Feeling this energetic exchange with your environment as you breathe in prana, this vital life force energy. You notice how the deeper your breath is, the more relaxed you begin to feel. This is because as we breathe in, we're breathing in oxygen to the cells. And as we breathe out, we're letting go of carbon dioxide. So every time that we breathe in, imagine you nourishing each and every cell with oxygen. And every time that you exhale out, cleansing the body, clearing the body, letting go. Inhale, reach the arms out to the side. Lifting the arms all the way up towards the sky. Clasp your fingers and then flip the hand palms so they're facing upward. Inhale, beginning to arch the back just slightly, opening up the heart, waking up the spine. Exhale, round your back, look towards your navel, pull the belly button all the way in. Inhale, lifting heart, lifting arms. Exhaling out of mouth, looking in again towards that navel, that Navi Dristi. Inhale up. Exhaling out. Inhale back up. Exhale, take these hands still clasped and place them behind the head. Right at the base of the skull, widen the elbows. Feel your shoulder blades glide down the back. Continuing that deep breath, you're going to exhale over towards the right so that the elbow is reaching towards the hip, the bottom of your right rib reaching towards the top of your right hip. Inhale back up to center. Exhale over to the other side. So today's practice will be a gentle and yin style of yoga. Inhale back up to center. Exhale over to the side. This is the perfect balance to vinyasa, the perfect complement to a vinyasa practice. Inhale back up. Exhale over to the other side. So we learn how to balance the yin and the yang. Inhale back up to center. This time we'll rotate towards the right, keeping the hips stable, just feeling your ribs and your torso turn in rotation. Inhale back to center. So this style of yoga, this practice that we will have today, exhale, rotating to the other side, really allows us to get into the connective tissue. Inhale back into center. Rotating when you're ready to the other side. Inhale back to center. Exhale, rotation to the other side. Inhale back into center. Take the hands down. Extend both legs out in front of you. Reach the arms forward, hand palms face up. Hinge back. Curl your tailbone under and then start to melt your way down into the mat. Now we engage abdominal muscle when we start to tuck the pelvis under. If this becomes too much or you're not interested in working your abs today, just take the elbows down one at a time like brake pads, and eventually you'll lower down to the ground. Or you're activating the abs and melting into the mat. Let both feet fall out to the side, both hand palms face up. Breathing deeply. In through the nose and out of the mouth. We practice this good to be alive breath. So that every time you breathe out, you are reminded how blessed you are to be alive. You're reminded that every moment of every day is a gift. Draw the right knee in towards the chest. Holding on to that right shin, so clasping hands below the knee. Draw that leg in towards you, elbows wide to the side. Just breathe. So for many of us who have an active mind, a mind that is constantly thinking, constantly looking for things to worry about, constantly jumping from thought to thought like a monkey jumping from branch to branch. Sometimes for these types of people, it's more difficult to slow down your practice because then that means that you're focusing on your thoughts instead of being distracted by the movements, quicker paced in a vinyasa class. But these are exactly the types of classes that benefit people whose minds are wandering, jumping, on overdrive. Start to circle the right foot, the right ankle. Because it's important that we are not fearful of our minds, not fearful of the thoughts, but instead we start to become friends with our mind, reverse the direction. We start to understand that we don't have to feel like the mind is controlling us, but instead we learn how to control the mind by controlling our breath. Soften the foot, start to extend this right leg up towards the sky, now taking your hands and clasping them to your hamstring. The elbows are bent. The right knee is softly bent. And you're holding on to this right hamstring, not pulling, not tugging, not forcing. Just keeping it in place. Breathing into the back of the leg, supplying that hamstring with oxygen. And every time you exhale, you begin to let go. Let go of the grip, let go of the tension, let go of the resistance. Breathing in through nose, exhaling out of mouth. So instead of being distracted by quicker movements, we learn how to distract ourselves with the focus on breath. So each and every time that sneaky little mind of yours wants to think about something that is not productive, that is anxiety producing, you remind that mind to focus on breath, because that is self-serving. Bending this right knee, take the right hand to the right heel of your foot. Externally rotating that right leg, we go into half happy baby. Left hand resting on that left hip, anchoring it down. Breathing in through the nose, breathing out of your mouth. Good to be. Take the left hand to the right knee, draw it back into the center. Keeping the right leg in, bring the left knee in to meet it. Holding onto the shins, gently rock from side to side. Pause through center. Clasp hands to left shin. Extend right leg long onto the ground. Relax the right leg completely as you draw the left knee in towards the chest. Just breathe. Start to circle that left foot, getting any cracks, any kinks out of the ankle. Reversing the direction when you're ready. Soften the foot, extend the leg up towards the sky, clasping hands now to that left hamstring right at the back of the leg. Bend elbows, keep left knee softly bent. Left foot is also relaxed. Just breathe. Utilize this breath to cleanse your body, to calm your mind, to nourish your soul. Now remember that just like yoga, the practice of yoga on our mat is exactly that, a practice. The practice of pranayama, breath control, is also a practice. Consistently and relentlessly practicing. So every time the thoughts drift off, you use your imaginary fishing pole and you reel them back in, reminding yourself, this is my time. This is my time to think about my breath. And the more that you practice reeling those thoughts back in, directing them back to breath, the easier that it will eventually become. Start to bend this left knee, left hand to left heel of foot, right hand resting on that right hip bone, anchoring it into place. Half happy baby on the other side, bending into that left knee, opening up the left hip. Just breathe in through nose, out of mouth. And as you breathe, notice if the breath gets stuck in a certain area, if you feel as though you're only able to breathe so far, so deep. If that's the case, without judgment, without analysis, just notice this is an area that needs more attention. So on your exhale, try to let go of even more breath than the exhale before. It may be that you're holding on and that you need to work on letting go, holding on to an emotion, holding on to a person, holding on to an experience, attaching yourself. So we exhale even deeper. Use your breath with purpose, with passion. Exhale, push out that breath so that the next time you inhale, there's a little more space there, a little more room, a bigger opportunity for expansion. I like to use this particular breath that we're about to do to assist in the exhalation, making it even deeper, even more purposeful. We'll do 3 rounds, breathing in through nose and exhaling with a shh. You'll notice how much longer that exhalation is when you attach it to the sound shh. Together we'll breathe in when you're ready. Exhaling, shh. Keep going, push it out, push it out, push it out. Until you're desperate for that inhalation, and then you'll breathe in. Breathe in. Keep breathing in, fill yourself up, 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 up. Ready, set, exhale, shh. Keep pushing it out. It's work. Push it out, push it out, push it out. Breathe in. Last time like that. Exhale. Shh. Beautiful. Breathing in when you're ready. Start to draw that left heel towards the left sits bone. The right hand reaches across to bring that left knee in, so you're not using the strength of your adductors. You're using the strength of your arm. Invite that right knee in to meet it. Wrapping arms around the shins, gently rocking side to side. Pausing through center, place both feet down onto the ground. Crossing the right ankle over the left knee. Take the arms out to the side in a T, or if you don't have enough room, you can always bend the elbows going into cactus arms. Now we're going to draw this left knee towards the right side of your mat. So the left knee is going to fall very gracefully towards that right side of the mat. So your left leg is internally rotated. The left knee is to the right side of your mat, so your left leg is internally rotated. Another way of saying that is that your left hip bone, the outside of your left hip, is facing towards the sky. Here we start to get into that IT band, your iliotibial band, which begins at the outside of your hip and travels down towards the outside of your left knee. This IT band tends to get very tight if you are a runner or if you are a cyclist, if you spend a lot of time with your hips in flexion. So we try with this pose to release the tension that has been built up in that IT band. And we send our breath directly there. There meaning wherever there's tension, tightness, resistance, discomfort. We use our breath as a healing mechanism. And the longer that we stay in every pose, the more comfortable the body feels, the safer the body feels to let go of that tension. Very often tension is built up in the body as a way of trying to protect you. But that is just an illusion of protection. So breathe in deeply through the nose. Exhaling out of the mouth. We also get into the lower back. Rotating the spine allows us to decompress. Breathing in. Exhaling out of mouth. Breathing in. Exhaling out. Start to press that left sole of your foot down into the ground as you roll onto your back. Again, mindfully, gently, and slowly. Eventually, when you're on the back, you're going to uncross that right leg, place it down to the ground. Left ankle crosses over the right knee, switching sides. Start to lower that right knee towards the left side of the mat, internal rotation of the right thigh. Now sometimes we have to adjust the right foot, kind of wiggling it one way or the other, so that we get into that delicious spot for us, that place of perfect alignment where you feel energy being released and where it feels safe for the knee. Breathing in through nose and out of mouth. So as I mentioned, the practice of yoga is just that, a practice. But yoga is not simply what we do on the mat, not just the movements, the poses. We have the 8 limbs of yoga. These limbs are the yamas and the niyamas, our morals and our ethics, our observances and our restraints. These yamas and niyamas have branches of their own, 5 on each. After the yamas and the niyamas are the asanas, the poses, the postures. These are the movements that we do on our mat. Then we have pranayama. Prana, which is the vital life force energy, the breath. And yama, the control of that breath. From pranayama, we have pratyahara. This is sensory withdrawal, when we withdraw from the distraction of our senses. Next is dharana. Concentration, focus. From there, dhyana, meditation. And the final limb, samadhi. This place of bliss, of joy. This place where we are witnessing without attachment. So each of these limbs have their purpose, have their meaning, have their own way to practice. A practice to reach enlightenment. Breathing in. Exhaling out. Start to place that right foot, the sole of the foot down on the ground, slowly rolling back onto your back. Uncrossing that left foot, place it down onto the ground. Reach fingertips towards the heels of your feet. Curling your tailbone underneath you, you start to peel the pelvis off the ground, coming up into a shoulder bridge. Pressing feet into the earth. You feel stability as you lift the pelvis up towards the sky. From here, you can hug your glutes and lift the pelvis a little higher if you'd like to engage muscle. Start to melt the back, upper, middle, lower. Hips and tailbone settle into the ground. Inhale, curl that tailbone under, lift the pelvis up. Keep pressing the hands down, the feet down. Maybe getting the pelvis a little bit higher. Make sure your head stays centered, never looking, never turning the head from side to side. In a shoulder bridge position because it can compromise your neck. So you keep the head stable, steady, centered. Tiny little pelvic lifts. Every time you lift the pelvis, hug your glutes. Hug as you lift, hug as you lift. Engaging the glutes, activating those muscles. Strengthening the back of the body, we release the hips simultaneously. Pausing at the top, melt your back, upper, middle, lower. Hips and pelvis settle, draw knees to the chest. Hug shins, gentle rock side to side. Pause through center. Hands to the hamstrings, the back of the legs. You can either rock forward and back, eventually coming up to seated, or you can roll to the side and push yourself up. But either way, let's come up to seated. Take the bottoms of the feet together in your Baddha Konasana, in your butterfly pose. Holding onto the soles of the feet, lift the heart and the crown up towards the sky. Lengthening the spine. Feel the shoulders stacked over the ribs stacked over your hips. Take a deep breath in. Exhaling out of the mouth, start to reach your chest forward. Leading with your heart, a flat back. You lean and hinge forward. If this is enough, you'll stay here, just bowing the head. If you'd like a little more, walk the hands out. If you are able to go deeper, let the elbows come down and bow the head. You could also stack the fists and rest your forehead on those fists. Or you could reach the arms out and let the head touch the toes. Any version of that is perfect. Just breathe. As we get deeper and deeper into the hips, we allow ourselves to let go of karmic impressions, to let go of emotions like anger, guilt, shame, and sadness. So we breathe in through our nose. We exhale out of our mouth. Going back to the limbs of yoga. As I mentioned, there are 5 yamas, 5 limbs in the yamas and 5 limbs in the niyamas. The 4th yama is brahmacharya. Now, if you've been practicing yoga with me for a while, or you've been watching these videos, you've heard me say that there is the Trimurti, the 3 Hindu deities, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Brahma is the creator, Vishnu is the sustainer, and Shiva is the destroyer or the transformer. It's like birth, life, death. Or life, death, and rebirth. It's a cycle, knowing that sometimes we need to let go in order to transform. But as energetic beings in these physical bodies, as souls in these humans walking around, we recognize that there really is no death because our souls are eternal. So the death is more of a transformational opportunity, shifting from one form to another. As we are energy, and energy can never be destroyed. Energy can only transform, change forms. So as these souls living inside of these bodies during this lifetime, we have the opportunity and the gift to have this human experience.
Brahma, the creator. We create experiences, we create moments, we create memories. Brahma can also be thought of as the divine. Brahmacharya. Charya is path. So brahmacharya is the path to the divine. Take the hands underneath the shoulders, press down into the ground to stack your spine all the way up. Take the hands to the outsides of the knees, push the knees together. Place the feet flat down on the ground. Now look at your heels, lined up directly with the sits bones. Take your hands back behind you, open up the shoulders, open up the chest. So we were just in flexion, right? The torso was forward, in flexion. Now we're going into extension, lifting the heart. Feel the upper arm bones as they spiral externally. Feel space being created in the ribs. Just breathe. Inhale. Exhale. Curl your tailbone under, lift the pelvis up, coming into reverse table. You can look forward, gazing at your belly button, or you can send the head back, supporting it with the shoulders. We only send the head back if our neck is healthy. If it bothers the neck at all, you keep looking forward. Now opening up your body towards source, towards the divine. You open yourself up to this pathway to the divine. Now, one of the aspects of brahmacharya is abstinence. But I'm not here to tell you to be abstinent. I'm just explaining that one of the aspects of brahmacharya is abstinence. Controlling our sexual urges. There are different aspects of this brahmacharya. Look forward. Lowering the sits bones down to the ground. Extend the legs out in front of you. Reach arms up to the sky. Inhale up. Exhale, reach the hands to cover your feet. Out of respect, bow your head down. Brahmacharya is also self-control. Brahmacharya is learning how to practice moderation. How to practice moderation. Brahmacharya is about refraining from constantly and consistently seeking pleasure. Because there is a difference between pleasure and joy. The pathway to joy is not the same as being a pleasure seeker. Take the hands, slide them so that they're framing the hips, and then start to stack the spine, coming all the way up to seated. Bend your knees, place your feet flat on the ground. Lift the hands, and you can either take the hands out in front of you and come to a forward fold, or you'll come into a forward fold however it works for you. I'm not peeking, so you do what you got to do. Just do it slowly and carefully. Measure 2 fists between your feet. Soften your knees. Grab opposite elbows and let your head hang. Start to sway from side to side. Brahmacharya teaches us how to source our own joy. Whereas pleasure is when we seek out of ourselves. We seek joy inside. We create joy within us. without condition, saying, well, if this happens, then I will feel joyful. That's conditional. Pause through center. Take peace fingers to the big toes. Thumbs touch, elbows wide to your side, and then bend the elbows more, pulling the head towards the shins. Bow your head. Bowing down to the divinity within you. The pathway to the divine is also the pathway to your higher self. The goals that your higher self has for you in this lifetime. To recognize that you don't have to look outside of yourself to find joy. And that you will never be sad enough to make someone else joyful. You will never be anxious enough to make someone else feel calm. So we don't seek outside. We only look within, knowing that there's so much power in that. Take the hands out from the toes, bend your knees. Take your hands to your hips with a flat back. You come all the way up to standing, slow motion, no rush at all. Especially when the head has been below the heart for so long and we come to standing, the blood pressure has to regulate, so slow motion. And eventually that head sits right in the center. Arms reaching down. Breathe in. Exhaling out of your mouth. Again, breath in. Exhale out. One more time like that. Breathe in. Exhaling out. Inhale, reach arms all the way up. Take the right hand to the left wrist, pointer to thumb. Slight tuck of the pelvis to support that lower back. Lift up and over to the side. Pushing hips in the opposite direction. Pathway to the divine. We are all equally worthy and deserving of walking that pathway. Inhale, lift up. Disconnect the hands, open up the heart, exhale back. Inhale, center. Switch the grip of the hands, exhale, up and over to the other side. Inhale up. Exhale, up and back. Link thumbs, forward folds. Hands frame your feet. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lunge your right leg all the way back. Left knee over the left heel of your foot. Just breathe. Feel that right hip as it opens up. Lower the right knee down. Keeping the toes tucked, just breathe. Just breathe in through nose, out of mouth. Take the left hand to the inside of that left foot. Pivot your right foot so that the toes are in line with your knee. Keep the left hand down. Reach the right arm up. Towards the sky. Towards source. So we practice brahmacharya. We practice sourcing our own joy. Looking within, knowing that that joy is readily available to us in every moment of every day. It's the choice that we can make. It's the control that we can have.
Take the right hand, reach the arm over bicep, over ear. Just breathe, bending more into that left knee. Just breathe. Right hand comes down. Still with the hands on the inside of that left foot, you're going to pivot the right foot back to where it was. Now heel toe this left foot over to the side. If this is enough for you, you'll stay here. If you want a little more, come down onto the forearms. You can take the hands into prayer and bow your head. Or you can pivot the right arm in, so the right hand is reaching to the left heel of your foot. Left hand can go to the left inner thigh as you push gently to open up that left hip even more. You go towards the knife edge of your foot. That means that the arch is lifting off the ground. And then breathe. Breathe. In through nose and out of mouth. So when we are pleasure seekers, we're relying on something else to make us feel good, and that feel good is only temporary. But Brahmacharya teaches us that joy can be everlasting without the conditions of if this, then that. There's a wonderful book called The Joy of Appreciative Living by Jackie Kelm. If you haven't read it, you might want to check it out. She talks about how joy is a choice. She talks about how joy is something that you can choose to feel every day. What is one thing that you can do every day to connect to your joy? What is one thing you could do every single day to connect to your joy? Take that left hand down to the ground. Slowly. Right hand comes down to the ground. Heel toe the left foot in. Left hand goes now to the outside of that left foot. You're going to send your sits bones back towards that right heel. Just walk the hands back. Untuck the toes sitting onto that right heel. Walk the arms forward. Maybe the hand palms can come up, resting on the forearms. Bow your head. So what is one thing you can do? Not what is one thing your partner, your husband, your child, your employee. Not something that you're looking outside of yourself to happen so that you can feel joyful. You first need to know what makes you happy. Instead of placing your happiness in someone else's hands, you have to know what makes you happy. Not a person, not a place, not an experience, not a condition. So once you choose that vibration of joy, that's when the law of attraction immediately matches you where you are. You find that place of joy, that high vibrational frequency. And the law of attraction, like a magnet, starts to bring things back into your life that match that joy. You have to get to the vibration first, not the other way around. Take the hands down to the ground. Walk yourself back into that lunge position, lifting right knee up. Left foot meets the right. Lower the knees down. Thumbs face you, middle fingers forward, tucking toes. Inhale, looking up. Arching the back. Looking up towards the source of joy. Exhale, round your back, look in.
knowing that you too are able to source your own joy. Inhale, arch, look up.
Exhale, round your back, look in.
We look in. We look inside of us to figure out what it is that makes us happy. Inhale, arch back, look up.
Exhale, round your back, look in.
Coming back to neutral, thumbs down. Tailbone lifts to the sky, coming into your one and only down dog of our practice today. Let your head fall. Again, looking at your internal solar plexus, the solar system inside of you, your internal fire, that place of personal power where you have the power to choose joy. Paddle out your knees, bending into right and bending into left. Now, if child's pose does not serve you, then you just come down, if down dog does not serve you, then you can go into child's pose. Just breathe. Exhale, both heels reach down to the ground, lifting your tailbone up, up, up. Inhale, high lifted heels. Exhale, bend your knees. If you're in child's pose, come to meet us to standing. Walk your feet towards your hands. Separating the feet that same 2 fist distances apart. Soften the knees, grab opposite elbows. Start to sway again from side to side. So when we begin to understand that we can source our own joy, that we can practice this brahmacharya, suddenly we feel responsible for our own happiness, which is exactly what we need to feel, responsible for our own happiness, not placing that responsibility on our partners, on our friends, on the outcomes of certain situations. Pause through center. Take the hands to frame the feet. Inhale, halfway lift, looking up. Exhale, fold. Lunge that left leg all the way back. Placing the toes down, the right knee now over the right heel of your foot. Just breathe, lifting heart, lifting crown. Start to feel that left hip opening, releasing tension. Breathing in. Exhaling out. Lower the left knee down to the ground. Now when we lower this left knee, make sure your pelvis is reaching forward. So we're not sitting on top of the kneecap, but instead we're closer to the thigh, closer to where the quadricep meets the kneecap. Pivot this left foot so it's in line with the left knee. Right hand comes to the inside of that right foot. Placing it down, bend more into this right knee, and then lift the left arm up. So we look up towards this beautiful sky, towards the infinite, towards the divine. And we bravely decide to walk this pathway to the divine, where we take responsibility, where we own our power, where we choose to be joyful. Keep bending into this right knee and then take the left arm, reaching it bicep over ear.
Deep breath in, exhaling out. We release the need or the addiction to shaming and blaming other people for our emotions. Take that left hand down to the ground. Heel toe, right foot out to the side. We move slowly so we can listen to our body. Either staying here on the hands or lowering down to elbows. Either staying with hands and head. Or keep pivoting that left hand into the right heel. Taking the right hand now to the right inner thigh, right above the knee. Pushing gently, going to the knife edge of that right foot. Looking back behind you. How many times in your life did you give away your power? Did you put your happiness in the hands of someone else? But as we look back, as we remember past choices, we also let go of regret or resentment or shame or guilt, because none of those emotions will serve you presently. We learn from the lessons of the past so that we can change the present and change the future. Look down. Right hand comes down to the ground. Slowly bringing that left hand to meet it. Heel toe right foot as you bring the right hand to frame the outside of that right foot. With control, start to walk the hands back. Untucking that left toe. Sitting on the left heel. The left heel is right in the middle of your tush. Hands come down, elbows and forearms can come down. Just bow the head. You humbly bow down. You bow down to yourself, honoring the mistakes, honoring the lessons, finding the blessings in each lesson. Reminding yourself that every day is not only an opportunity, but another day to practice. Some days are easier, some days a little more challenging. But we practice walking along that pathway. And when we come to a fork in the road, we ask ourselves, if I go this way, is it closer to the divine? Is it going to help bring me joy, or is it a temporary seeking of pleasure? And when we get to that fork in the road and we ask ourselves that question, the answers become much more clear. We look at the bigger picture instead of that immediate gratification. We ask ourselves, how can I serve the greater good? Not just serving myself for instant gratification. And we practice together. We practice together. We practice together because we are one. And every choice that we make affects the greater good. Take the hands down to the ground, pushing yourself back into that lunge position. Lifting left knee up,
Right foot meets the left. Lower the knees down. Thumbs face you, middle fingers forward. Dancing lion. Elliptical circles to the right. Breathing as you move. Reverse directions. Sometimes it feels like we are reversing directions, like we're taking 2 steps forward and 1 step back. But that is, again, a part of your path. It's a part of contrast, knowing what you don't want so that you figure out exactly what it is that you do want. So if what you want is joy, you also need to know what it feels like to be in a place of despair, to be in a place of doubt, or to be in a place of fear. Because how could you really appreciate the feeling of joy without having felt those other emotions? Come back in a center. Walk the knees forward, placing the knees in between the hands. Separate your feet. And then slowly walk the hands back, lowering your sits bones down to the ground. Stack your spine. You can take your hands to the arches of the feet and just stay here and breathe, or you could take the hands into Dhyana. If this is enough for you, stay here. If this is too much for you, you can lift your tush up and slide a yoga block or a blanket underneath. If you want a little more, you can walk back onto the elbows, keeping the inner thighs connected. And if you want even more, you can lower all the way down to the ground, sending the arms back, bending the elbows, stacking the hand palms. Now this is a very vulnerable position for the body to be in. We have our heart exposed. We have the legs in this W seat. But from a place of vulnerability, we are able to be authentic. Vulnerability breeds authenticity. So aligning with your authentic self, being your true self, your Satnam, your true identity. Oh my, it just said Satnam in the song. So aligning with this authentic part of you takes you 1 step closer to this path, this pathway to the divine. You recognize that when we are all vulnerable with each other, instead of putting on a front, pretending to be or to feel some way or something, we recognize that we are all doing our best. Some days, again, easier than others. But we practice self-control. Sometimes that means biting our tongue so that we don't say something that we later regret. Sometimes that means pausing to take a deeper breath so that we don't do something that we will later be upset with ourselves for. Breathe in through the nose. Exhaling out of your mouth. Take the hands to the soles of the feet if you're all the way down. You're going to press into the soles and then place your elbows down. Leaning into the elbows, you can push yourself up. And then from here, lean to one side so you can place a hand down. Push into that hand to come up. Hands are going to come down to the sides of the knees first to push yourself. Hands come out in front of you. Send that right leg back. Just gently rocking back and forth in this runner stretch. Place the right knee down. Left foot comes back. Same thing, gentle rock forward and back. Bring that knee back down to the ground. Shift weight so that you are sitting on the left side of your hip, and then swing the legs out in front of you. Reach arms forward, hand palms face up. Hinge back. Curl pelvis under, navel in towards the spine. And again, you can either utilize and engage your abs, or you can use those brake pads. Either way, just lower down. Hand palms facing up. Bend the knees into the chest. Gently rock from side to side. Moderation. Conservation of vital life force energy in the pursuit of your divine path. Pause through center. Place both feet down to the ground. Extend the legs long. Opening the arms just a little bit wider, hand palms face up. Entering into your Shavasana. This final resting pose. This final resting pose of Shavasana literally translates to corpse pose, which would be the death of our practice. But we're reminded that the death of our practice is just an opportunity for transformation.
Here now, the power of now is here now. The power of you and me is here to create magic on us. Let the water wash away your tears. Let the fire burn away our fears. Let the wind blow into your life such faith and trust on. Let the earth hold you, take care of you, nurture you all. magic on us. The power of love is here now. The power of now is here now. The power of you, me, is here to create magic on us. Power of love is here now. Power of now is here now. Power of you, me, is here to create magic on us. Power of love is here now. Power of now is here now. Power of you, me, is here to create magic on us. Let the water wash away your tears. Let the fire burn away your fears. Let the wind blow into your life such faith and trust. Oh, let the earth uphold you, take care of you, nurture you.
Start to bring some awareness back into the physical body, inviting a deeper, more conscious breath. And then begin wiggling fingers and toes. You can even circle your ankles and your wrists, turning the head from side to side. Inhale, reach the arms back behind you, pointing toes, arching back. Exhale, drawing knees into the chest, wrapping the arms around yourself. Loving yourself enough to source your own joy. Rolling to the right side of the mat in your fetal position. Up to seated in your own timing. Coming full circle back to a comfortable seat. Taking the hands onto the knees, lifting the back nice and tall, closing the eyes. Just breathe. Taking the hands to heart center, elbows wide. Hearing the silence around you, the silence of your breath. Gently bow your head forward. Thank you for allowing me to guide you in your practice today. I hope you found what you were looking for. Peace, love, and all that jazz. Namaste.